All right, well, welcome back to the Seahawks chat. So today I'm going to be talking about our preseason game coming up tomorrow against the Cowboys. Just a little bit of expectations and what to expect, and or at least what I would want to expect out of the players that are going to be playing tomorrow. Um, I really hope that we're going to have a good game tomorrow against the Cowboys. There are some players I'm going to highlight at the end of this video for the Cowboys if they have a chance to disrupt our chances of winning. But in any event, so I'm going to just kind of get down to it. We're going to go ahead and talk about the offense. So for Geno Smith, I really just want him to do one drive, maybe pass 4 or 5 passes, maybe get about 30 yards, 40 yards. And if he does have an excellent first drive, I would like him to finish it off with a touchdown. Naturally, if he doesn't finish with a touchdown, that's fine. I'm not that too concerned about Geno. But at most, I would like to have him one drive for sure. And the main reason why is because I just want to put a lot more focus on Drew Lock. And Drew Lock, last game, he had 17 completions out of 24 attempts for 191 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. To be fair with you, that's not bad. That's especially when you look back at seeing his tape. You know, I kind of railed on him a little bit in terms of not being able to produce offense quickly, like in terms of being able to produce points early on. Because he ended up getting a touchdown early on, and then we didn't get another touchdown until the third quarter. I think the fourth quarter, in between there. But that's a long time for any team to have any sense of stable offense. If you're trying to have him become a full timer, or at least work his way to have full time talent, he needs to have had those touchdowns in the first half. The first 2 touchdowns in the first half. Now, here's what I'm saying in terms for Drew Lock. Drew Lock, I have him also between after Geno Smith, which is basically his first or second drive, maybe between the end of the first drive, if it's a long enough drive, or if it's a very quick drive, then maybe 2 drives that probably would, just as long as Geno gets like maybe 5 minutes worth of actual game time play, then he hands it off to Drew Lock. I want him to play all the way to the fourth quarter. I want Drew Lock again to play in this game and show not only that he's backup material, which yes, last game he was backup material. That was numbers that you could produce as a backup in a pinch. But at the same time, I was not impressed with Drew Lock as some people was, because I expected him to already have more points produced. I'm not saying he should throw more touchdowns. I'm just saying that he needs to set up his offense to make more touchdowns. He doesn't have to score the touchdowns or throw the touchdowns. He just has to get to the goal line, maybe have his receiver, something. But that's what I'm trying to explain to you. He didn't really have, in my opinion, he wasn't so exciting. Like being able to move the offense, it was so dull. But I feel as though I think that's what Drew needs to work on, is just getting more offensive plays early, and then maybe by the first half he could have those 14 touchdowns, or 14 points and the 2 touchdowns. Excuse me. So this game, I would like him to have at minimum 20 attempts, at most 25 attempts. So just right around the same area he was at, because he had 24 attempts last game. I want him to have more than 200 yards, though. I want him to have 210 yards. That's really like the sweet spot for me. 210, 230 in between there. 2 touchdowns is good, but if he does get 3, that's fine. But I want the sweet spot. The sweet spot for him is consistently throwing 2 touchdowns. If he can throw 2 touchdowns in at least 3.5 quarters, that's good. I can work with that. If my defense can stay put, or he can get close enough to get to the offense to the goal line, and my running backs can run it in. Now that I'm going to have more expectations for running backs now, as I talk about them later on, then yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of load off of Drew Lock, and he can play better. So I also do expect Drew Lock to throw an interception, though. So I've also noted that down, that if he throws an interception, I don't feel so bad that he does, because I'm expecting it. If he throws 2 interceptions or more, or like the one time last season when he threw 3 interceptions but threw like what 2 touchdowns, I believe. Yeah, that's bad. You can't do that, Drew. I don't want you to do that. But in any event, since we're playing the Cowboys, I'll talk about their I'll talk about people to worry about them later. So afterwards, we'll go to Sam Aller. Is it Sam Aller? Yeah, Aller. Anyways, Aller. I want him to play in the fourth quarter. I want either 5 to 7 passes. I don't want him to throw a lot. Especially because the guy's arm is whack. He can't. He's not Tim Tebow. I mean, he's Tim Tebow throwing. Let's be honest. But if he gets lucky and he can throw short passes, I want him to get at least 35, at most 50 yards, but at minimum 35 yards. I want him to have between 2 to 5 rushing attempts, and I want 15 yards. So he averages. So what's that? Even if he did 5 attempts, that's about 3 yards. So 15 yards. And I just don't want any interceptions. I don't want any interceptions for him. All right, so we're going to switch to the wide receivers. Wide receivers. Of course, the first two, DK and Lockett, I just want them in the first drive, if anything. And if they both catch between 1 or 2 catches each, if they both get between 10 and 25 yards, that's fine each. I'm fine. I'm okay with that. I don't expect much out of those two this game in particular. Now, this is where things get a little interesting. I do expect a lot out of this player. JSN, I want him to play, but I want JSN to play for a half. The entire half. For him, I want between 5 and 7 targets. Little low. Some people are like, "Why? That's not enough." I want him to play. I don't want him to work himself up. I want him to work himself up. He's gonna do fine. I want 5 to 7 targets. I want at least 35 receptions, and I want 1 touchdown, just 1. If he can score that, that's fine. If he can go above and beyond that, I will be happy. Now, I'm going to talk about this player, and if he hits these numbers, I believe he will be on the 53-man roster, okay? And that's Jake Bobo. So Jake Bobo, I expect him to come out in maybe the second quarter, maybe the end of the first quarter, second quarter, all the way on to the fourth quarter. And I think they're going to give him a lot of time. So with him, I expect between 5 and 10 targets, all right? But I also expect him to catch about half of those, so between 2 and 5 catches. And I do expect him to get about 50 yards or more and 1 touchdown. That's a lot of expectations on Jake Bobo, especially because he's barely a rookie. Granted, he's been showing a lot of promise as a rookie, but he's still a rookie. But to me, this is his prove it game right here. I think Bobo's prove it game is this game. If he shells out in any capacity like he did last game, which is basically the numbers I just kind of showed, except for more targets, a lot more targets, Bobo's going to make it. 100% 53 man. I'm saying it now on the clear record, all right? If he hits these numbers again, he doesn't have to try much harder the next game because he's already proven twice he can do it. So, now we're going to get to Matt Landers. Matt Landers, I don't think he's going to have many targets. I think he's going to have 4 targets. I do expect him to catch 2 of them. I want between 20 to 25 yards. And if he's lucky, a touchdown. But I don't expect a touchdown out of him. These next 2 players, I just wrote down as next 3 players. I kind of wrote down as no expectations. Eskridge, I don't really have expectations for him. I'm told he's injured. K. Johnson, he's coming off of injury. I don't have expectations. I don't expect him to come back to the field and be having a 100-yard game, especially after what happened to him literally a week ago. So I don't have much expectations for him. And Lindsley, I don't really have much expectations for because he usually just goes practice squad anyways. But I do have one person in particular I do have one small expectation for. That was Winston Jr. He had 3. I'm going to expect that he can get 3 targets, catch 2 of them, and hit 20 yards. I don't expect him to have a touchdown, but if he gets a touchdown, he gets a touchdown. That's awesome. That's great for him. All right, so we're going to switch to the running backs. Running backs, K9. I just want him to do one drive, maybe 3 touches, 20 yards. I don't want him to go too hard. I know he's still rehabbing. He doesn't have to do anything further. This is the next player that I expect. These next 2 players, I expect a lot of. All right, especially this game. One game is more of a prove it, and the other one's more of a I'm better than this player. Because I think he is much better than the other player that I'm going to mention in the 4th category, who I don't have any expectation towards. So number 1 is Zach Charbonnet. I expect Charbonnet to be between the 1st and 3rd quarter. So he's going to have pretty decent sized playing time. He's probably going to rotate between him and DJ Dallas. I'm just going to go ahead and say it out now. DJ Dallas is the player that I was talking about. DJ Dallas, I have no expectations towards. I have a feeling he's already going to make it in just towards the seniority alone. But I don't think he's any more talented than these 3 players I'm talking about. And he's just lucky to be part of the team. I'm sorry that I'm saying it that kind of bluntly, but I am. I thought last game DJ Dallas should have done much more to present himself as not only just a veteran running back, but actual presentable running back to rely upon, especially since he's been with this team for a while. No, he didn't do jack shit, basically. Not his fault, but I want more out of Dallas. He's been here long enough. So, Charbonnet, back to my point. I do want between 10, I want 10 touches max for about 50 yards. So that's averaging 5 yards a carry. And I do want him to get into the passing game. I want between 2 to 5 passes and then catch at most 25 yards. So another 5 yards average if max. So, it's not hard for me to expect this out of Charbonnet because I've seen him do it in UCLA. But at the same time, I'm a little worrisome about my expectations on him because I do expect a lot on him. I think Charbonnet will be a beneficiary to the Seahawks. Or, at the very most, show that he has enough talent to be a trade asset or any kind of significant piece down the line in that kind of factor. But I don't see Charbonnet being traded anyways. So the next player I'm going to talk about, who if you ever saw my last video, I said was just a complete down because I thought he could have been the difference maker even more in this game. And that's Kenny McIntosh. So Kenny McIntosh, I expect him to come into the second half, right at the second half. Maybe he'll be the probably complimentary to taking DJ Dallas out of the game. And that would just be Charbonnet and McIntosh, which would be a pretty interesting and great combination. I expect him to get between, again, 6 to 10 touches. I want 25 yards. I also want him to be 3 to 4. I want 3 and at most 4 passes. And I want him to have also 20 to 25 yards in the passing game because I know he's a very good route runner. And then as for the 4th quarter, I ended off with Kovac. I don't also have much expectations for him. I know he'll have some volume of carry. He'll have some volume of catches because of his time. And, of course, he's pretty reliable in the last game. So I think he'll have a good game. So I don't really have much to say about Kovac, but I do feel like he's not going to be going further than the practice squad. But all in all, those are my so far running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks. Now we're going to get to the tight ends. It's going to be pretty short and simple. I do expect Disley and Fant to only play about a drive or 2. I do expect them to each catch 1, maybe 1. I know I expect Fant to catch 1. Disley, not so much. I more expect Disley to be blocking because that's usually what he does anyways in a lot of cases. But Fant, I expect him to try to catch 1 ball for about 15 yards. Be lucky if it's a touchdown. Just be lucky because I don't expect that. Here's a player that I'm having a lot of hope for. Between the first quarter, maybe like between the middle of the first quarter all the way to the end of the 3rd quarter, I want Colby Parkinson to shine. This is where I think Colby needs to step up. Colby needs to get between 5 to 7 targets, 40 yards, which is, I think all this is completely capable for him. And a touchdown, maybe notably a red zone touchdown, a quick and easy red zone touchdown. that can be thrown from Locke. So that can add another stat to Locke's touchdown rate. So, there's some things that I really like in Colby Parkinson. And I loved Colby Parkinson since Stanford. That's why when we picked him up, I was so happy. But we haven't used him to his potential. But at the same time, I'm not mad because we drafted him at 21 and he's only 24. He's got so much left in him. So I know he can be very vital this year to our offense. Which I was talking about my last video. It makes, if Colby can shine, like shine, it makes our tight end targets, other tight ends, the ones notably up front, Disley and Fant, much more tradable. But it makes one person much more tradable, and also I think the league in general might like him more, is Will Disley. So we might be able to trade Disley and maybe do things with our maybe 4th or 3rd round pick and get a DeForest Buckner like I mentioned. There is possibilities. But in any event, I'm going to go ahead and talk about I want Colby Parkinson to have a good game. So offensive line, I just think for the most part, the starters will be out there. The second line will be out there. One thing to know, I'm going to note players that were bad. I'm sorry, they were just bad. But I hope they improve. Bradford, you were bad. Sorry, I understand. Everyone knows you're bad pretty much. But I didn't think Pro Football should have had a railed you. I didn't think you were like a 5 or I don't know. You were single digits. I was just shocked, like, seeing your rating. And I didn't think, like, going back to the tape, you weren't that bad. But it's clear that you were not ready. You were getting a little bit pushed over a bit. Okay, Haynes? I'm worried about you, Haynes, because you also are... I don't think... It's not that you're not ready. It's just you're just not that fast. Your technique is terrible, and you're not that fast. Like, I don't think you're the worst compared to the last person I'm going to talk to. You are better than Bradford, but Bradford has much more upside, by far. So if Bradford cleans up his mistakes and actually learns how to use his hands and get off and anchors down, he probably will push you to the curb, Haynes. Sorry, he will. You are in here because of a lot of not only really just experience, but you are been here with the team for a long time. So they're giving you your chance now. So be lucky about that. And the worst O-line that we had was Stone Forsythe. I had to say his name twice because he's made out of stone. The guy is so slow, and he basically doesn't move off the line when he's pass protecting and run blocking. I can't even believe it because I had so much praise for Stone Forsythe when he was playing out of Florida. I thought, oh my God, we picked up a 6th-round gem. The guy's a monster. He's like almost 6'9". He's so long. And he's, being like 304 pounds, he was just so lengthy. Like, you would think he'd have the physical ability to just be able to stop the defender. No, he's so slow. And they just get by him periodically. It disappoints me. It really does. Stone, I'm sorry. I hope for the sake of the team, you do get cut. I don't want to say it, but I think you just need to. I'm sorry. That's just the case. All right, so on to our defense. I do think that our entire first team defense should stay for at least 2 drives or half of a quarter at most. But I do want these notable players. I have a few highlights. Devin Bush, I want him between first quarter and third quarter. I would like between 6 and 10 tackles. I want 1 tackle for loss and 1 pass deflection. That's maybe a lot to ask in terms of the tackles, but I have a good feeling he'll have a tackle for loss and, maybe be quick enough to block a pass. So there's some good expectations for Devin Bush. Another player that I have expectations for that other people might not even be talking about is Trey Brown. The reason why I want Trey Brown good is because I want people to see in the league that he is good. But at the same time, I don't think in Seattle he will be who he can be here. So we can use him as a trade asset and maybe bring value and bring in better players. But in any event, I would like him to hold under 35 yards and have a QBR of under 75. That's it. And I also have between 1 and 3 pass deflections. That's all I want out of Trey Brown. If he can be that kind of cornerback, and he's done it before, he's been pretty damn good in some cases. I think he can make his case that not only is he somewhat worth keeping, but if we have to at that last point, we can use him as a trade and trade him because we do have to pay him still. Kobe Bryant, if he plays as a safety or is converted back into corner, whichever way he has to, I want him to have 5 tackles, 1 pass deflection, and if he is used as a safety and say he's off of a safety blitz scheme, I would love to see a sack. Pretty much. In terms of like Witherspoon, I don't have expectations because I'm told he's also hurt. Boye, Hall, and Taylor, it's basically the same things. Just sacks. If you guys can get 1 sack each, that's fine. 3 to 4 tackles and 1 tackles for loss. That's it. It's basically all around for all of the defensive line. I don't have too much expectations for that other than just get 1 sack and a couple tackles. So it's kind of redundant to keep going down even defensive line or defensive tackle and because it's the same thing. I literally wrote it down and I realized it's kind of the same thing. As long as you get 1 sack, between 2 to 4 tackles and a tackle for loss. That's it. Now, here's some players that I was talking about for the Dallas Cowboys. They do have 2 pretty good tight ends. One is Ferguson, and another one was Stephen Jr. He was the one catching the touchdowns. So I was really surprised to see him catch that. I think it was like a 40-something or something yard touchdown. It was like garbage time touchdown, so it's nothing to get too wild about. But he had a decent game. I mean, he's I think it was. Sorry, excuse me. I know I wrote something. Yeah, he had 3 receptions and 1 touchdown. So it's not too bad at all. 3 receptions, 1 touchdown, not bad. Another person to worry about is Deuce Vaughn. Deuce Vaughn, man, he looking really scary. You know, he may be little, but he's quick. He's quick and he's fast. He's both quick and fast, and he's coming from Kent State. From Kansas State. From Kansas State. He's coming from Kansas State. And the thing with Kansas State, man, look at Tyler Lockett. Players are both quick and fast. So, what does that lead up to? That's right. He is a good player. So he's going to stand out, and I'd watch him pretty highly on the offense. And one more player to note for the Cowboys is Jalen Tolbert. Apparently, Jalen Tolbert didn't play much last year, but this preseason, he had a heck of a game. Not only did he have, in my opinion, did he have the best catch. And I saw it, man, that was cool. It was like a jump-up twirl catch, and then he kept both his feet in bounds. Apparently, it was an offensive pass interference, and I thought that was the most BS call I've ever seen in my life. And I couldn't even believe that. Like, literally, I couldn't. But in any event, there's 2 upsides to worry about in the Cowboys game. Number 1, after Cooper Rush, because Cooper Rush is actually good. He is NFL caliber talent. But I don't think Will Grier is. I think Will Grier kind of sucks. I think Will Grier got lucky in a lot of cases. I think Will Grier was able to seize moments that were vital garbage time, really. I mean, the defense didn't Jacksonville didn't stop caring after a while. Let's just be straight with you. All right? But still, Will Grier is not going to do much to the Seattle. I don't think so at all. And not only that, he's not working with the best O-line, especially the third-string O-lines. I have a really good feeling that like players like Le'Veon Bell, Jordan Ferguson, and V. Jones, all those players are going to be able to knock him out of the park, push him around, and then get to Will Grier and I hope not hurt him, but they will hurt him. They're gonna hit him. It's gonna be pretty bad. But so yeah, in terms of points, I do see us winning. I do see us going between 24 and 28, and they're gonna score about 14 points. They're not gonna score more than 2 touchdowns. I do think it'll probably be like a Deuce Vaughn touchdown that we would allow, and maybe maybe like a throwing touchdown. I'm not gonna say Tolbert because I've already mentioned those 2 players, but maybe a throwing touchdown. Depends on who it is, tight end, random wide receiver, whatever. But I do see us scoring 24 points, so we might win by 10 points. I do see us max scoring 28 points. That's 4 touchdowns. So there you go. That's my prediction. That's my expectations. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to this video. Please like and subscribe. If you guys want to check out my other videos, I do have more videos coming in down the pipeline. I have more videos already uploaded. If you guys want to check out my 2 trades, I have 1 trade for Chase Young I just released. I have another trade which is my more popular. It's becoming my more popular one of my DeForest Buckner trade. And also, I also have videos for who's gonna make the cut. I did make a big video about Jake Bobo. So if you guys like Jake Bobo, go ahead and check that video out and check out my opinion. But in any event, I hope you guys enjoy. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends, do what you have to do, and just let you guys know, go Hawks.